Do you want to play a relationship game with your spouse? Do you want to play a game where you role play to be other people and cause fights with each other? Then I have the game for you.
Have you ever wondered what games you should keep or you should lose? Find out here at Purge Reviews.
Fog of Love is like a relationship simulator. It's less a game and more of like this role-playing activity that you're doing. There is a game attached, but I don't think the game is very interesting compared to the role-playing that you're going to be doing in the game. If you can't role-play, then you're not going to be able to play this game. You're not really going to have a lot of fun with it. You can't be you. And I think there's a feeling that most people play this, they want to make decisions of themselves. Now, you role players that are used to doing this, you're not going to have as much a problem with this. But those people who are used to, I'm playing this game with my strategy and I myself are going to struggle with this a little bit more. The more you can role play the character that you are and get outside of your skin and get out of yourself, the more I feel like you're going to enjoy this game. If you play every session as yourself, despite the traits that your player has, you are not, this is not for you. This is a role-playing experience where you're jumping into the skin of somebody else, and you have to make decisions as if you're them. If they're a jerk, you gotta be a jerk. If they're meek, you gotta be meek. So it's a role-playing experience. We didn't really enjoy this game that much. I almost would have liked it better. I don't know. The game, it almost reminds me of the Troubled Life of Billy Kerr, where it's a really neat idea. I kind of like what's going on, but the game itself wasn't as interesting to me. And I find that aspect here where I didn't really like the game itself that we were doing, but I liked everything surrounding it. Now, to be honest, we're not really a role-playing type family. We don't really play a lot of role-playing games. And this is something I'd play just with my spouse. It's a two-player experience, and I feel like that this would be something that we would get into. But I didn't really like where it was diving into, and reality can be mixed in. Like, oh, you would do that? No, I'm playing a character. And we're just not good at that. And that's not something that we enjoy very much. My wife is more into like heavy Euros. And you know, these decisions that you're making to get to an end to win, or resource management, versus like, I'm going to dive into roleplay. We don't do D&D. We don't do any of these role-playing games. So this didn't really fit for us, but I was really happy to give it a try. From a role-playing experience, this is definitely the theme or something that we would be interested in. But the game itself didn't pull us in, and we need that game to pull us in if we're going to roleplay a little bit. So for my taste, it will be a Purge. The game and the mechanism and what I was doing just wasn't strong enough to hold up that role-playing. Now, if you like a role-playing experience and you feel like that can hold up a gaming session, or you like the mechanism included in this, I think you'll like this a little bit more. But it was just going through the motions more than enjoying a game of itself. So for us, it'll be a Purge. I hate to not recommend this to anybody, but I think there are people going to like this game. Look at the flow of the game and see if it's something that maybe you guys would enjoy. But for us, it just didn't meet our gaming needs. It wasn't something we wanted to go back to. So here's the Fog of Love. This is the Kickstarter version. You're going to open it up. It's going to slide off the side, which is really, really super weird. We'll take a look at the rule book in just a few minutes. You're going to get a really nice board here. It's going to come out into 4 squares. And, you know, it's rather generic in the respect that just has these tracks on it, places for the cards. Do you need this board? Not really. The board isn't 100% necessary for it, although it is nice. You're gonna, with the Kickstarter, we got a backer friend thing. And you're going to have these plastic things that your cards will kind of fold into if you want to put them in there. They kind of fit nicely in there. You're going to have these poker chips. These are really nice of the different decisions you'll be making. The cards you can see don't have any, these are the scene cards. They don't have any artwork on them. Just decisions and the icons that you're going to see there. You're going to have a number of these little small cards that will have different backs on them, different things that they're going to do. There's a ton of these in here. This is the Kickstarter version, so it comes with a lot of extra stuff. I'm trying to show you just what comes in retail. You're going to have these little wooden pieces that you'll be moving around. These are pretty generic. You've seen these in a lot of games, etc. And then you have a custom insert that kind of sits in here where most of your things will be able to fit. For Fog of Love, you can see the font. The first thing you notice, the font is really small. It's an overview, components with no pictures, but you do get a picture of setup over here. And then it takes you through just the goals of the game and some different things that you'll be doing through it and kind of explain the concepts because it's kind of a unique game. How to play. Everything you need to know how to play is right here. This is the sequence of play. Very easy. Then it dives down into a little bit different how the scene cards work, which is the most of it. You're going to have gender complications, how to organize the game, designer thoughts, which is all nice, how to do the tutorial, and then a cheat sheet on the back. It says read this first to be able to play through it, but this is a nice cheat sheet that you'll have here. Rulebook is pretty good. The font is small, not a lot of pictures, and I think it's okay. The game is very simple to pick up and play. So I'm
going to give you a general overview of how to play. I'm not going to go over any of the rules. I just want to give you an idea of the main mechanism in the game. So there's a tutorial deck that you can go through. I highly recommend playing this the first time. But for the most part, what's going to happen is you're going to have these, what they call scene cards. And on your turn, you're going to play a scene card, and then the players will make a decision. So it says tomorrow at 10 o'clock, text message on player's phone, and your partner will choose. So in this one, your opponent will choose. You accidentally saw this text message. What do you do? And then they'll be able to play one of their chit. They'll play this down, and then they'll flip it over to tell you what their response is. So, well, D wasn't an option, so it says C. So C says write down the number and try to find out who wrote the text. And then what you'll do is you'll be able to put one of your markers out on this, signifying which side. So this side says curiosity, and this one will be closed-minded. So this one's curious and closed-minded. So they went up on the track, so they'd write down the number. Now, if they had played B, it said ignore it must be a mistake, then you would be over here, and it'd be gentle, cooperative, or forgiving. And these will have a bunch of different things on it. So the truth is a bit different. This scene can be played immediately after a choice by the player. It's a reaction to something, so you have some of these reactions that will be there. Once again, my best friend died. Your partner will choose the outcome. Now, what you're doing with this is you're not necessarily choosing what you would do. You have these cards that will be trait cards. So this one says you're a workaholic, and this will be your individual balance. So what you're trying to do is get that. This one might say you're intense, and these will kind of give you goals. This one says you're adventurous. So you'll have these that you're trying to accomplish as the game goes on. You also have occupations, TV stars that give you certain attributes as you go through. You're a criminal. You're a security guard. And you kind of want to role play, wedding planner. You want to role play to these cards in order to be the character that you want to be. So you're never playing yourself. You're always choosing a different character. And as these things go out on the board, it will kind of tell a story as you go through. And when you get to the finale, it will kind of tell you what happened, whether you're successful or unsuccessful in the goals that you set out. So the game isn't really about winning per se, although maybe that's something you want to play too. Maybe that is, maybe it isn't. But it's more about what you want to be able to accomplish as you're playing. So I have this a general overview because I don't want to get bogged down in a lot of rules. I don't do that here to show you the flow of the game. But you'll have 5 of these cards in your hand, and you'll just play one, and you guys will make decisions as you go through and role play that activity. So that's Fog of Love.
Who should buy this game? First and foremost, you need to be comfortable with role-playing. You need to be comfortable with playing somebody who isn't you and be able to go down that track. Now, for you role players, you're going to be like, well, duh, that's no big deal. But for a lot of people, that is a struggle to get out of that skin and to role-play as somebody else, especially if you're going to primarily play this with your spouse. Like, decisions you make, you got to make sure your spouse is like, not learning things about you because you're playing somebody else. I feel that's really, really important. Now, we didn't have that experience with my wife, but I spoke to a lot of people about this game, and that was the experience that they had with it. So you really need 2 role players, not just one. So just kind of throw that out there. I think you need to look at the game flow and see if it's something like, okay, I would like this game on top of the role playing. Now, if you're used to being a role player and role playing kind of is most of it, then you're okay with that, then this will be more for you. So this is one of those games where I'm like, it's not for everybody, but for the people that is, they're really going to like it. For us, it's going to be a purge.